All right, let's get back to another episode. So, in the last one, I was talking a lot about the difficulty I have found talking about positive things going on in life. And I think on the flip side of that, I was thinking about it. And I mean, there's a similar difficulty in talking about the tough things in life. I had briefly mentioned kind of some experiences talking to people who were dealing with like either suicidal ideation or suicidal thoughts, and kind of how it was hard to show up for people in that time. And so now that I have, this perspective where I can see things a little bit more positively in my life, I can also kind of see that there was a time where I had a more negative outlook on life and less desirable feelings about life, I guess I would say. And so what I want to try to talk through today is, just kind of why it is that I think it's also hard to talk about those harder negative, I guess, as I could frame it that way, more negative emotions and feelings. And I guess I'll start it off by saying what I'm trying to tackle is something around suicide, but not necessarily committing suicide. I think more about ideas of wanting life to end, because in my experience through life, that's more of the feeling I've felt. I haven't necessarily had a feeling of wanting to kill myself, but I have had a feeling of wanting things to end because life felt too overwhelming. And I think there's some difference there. And I think where I will start of why I personally find it difficult to talk about that idea of like wanting life to end is because, what was it, at 16, 17, I got put on that, after whatever it was, that 72-hour involuntary hold, and I got sent to a mental health institution. And so for me, I'm still wary sometimes about what ideas I'm sharing with people, and careful to not share something that someone doesn't really understand me and doesn't know that it's just a thought. Because fuck, I wouldn't want to be back in that situation where I don't have control of my life, where my autonomy is taken away. And for me, it's a very real thing, because it did happen at some point in my life where I was taken to a mental health institution over a thought I was having, not even an action that I took, but just a thought that I was having. And I think these thoughts are natural by the virtue of them just happening. And I think that protocol, that 72-hour hold, is there as a way to help people. But I think in actuality, I felt it be more of a punishment than anything. And that's why, I haven't really talked about these thoughts with anyone. It's even like with my therapist, I was very afraid to bring up that feeling that I've had at times when I feel like all the air's been let out of the tires and there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to keep moving. Had a hard time. There's only one therapist that I've been able to talk to that about. But I was very hesitant to bring up that subject because what if he, because then I'm putting it in, I'm putting my life in his hands, because what if he doesn't really understand me and he thinks that I'm actually going to do something about it rather than knowing me well enough that it's just a feeling that I'm having and that I also need to express. And so from my perspective, I that's why I see it being a difficult subject to bring up, because what if people take some action in trying to keep you safe, which actually ends up harming you? Kind of, I guess how a parallel I would draw is like someone calling Child Protective Services because you're leaving your kids at home. I mean, like, it might not be that big a deal, or the reason your kids are at home alone, they might be good on their own, but someone else perceives it as a danger, and now your life gets fucked. So yeah, there's that. And what I see too is it's definitely a difficult thing to bring up, but also to talk to someone who's experiencing these feelings, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I think it could be very easy to say the wrong thing, especially for me, because my approach to it would kind of, I think, would be pretty logical. I'm not a person who would just say like, hey, everything's going to be fine, just keep at it. Like, cause I think that's bullshit. Like, if shit sucks, it sucks. And I think it's important to kind of talk about why that is. And I could probably talk to someone about what they're feeling, but I don't think I could ever bring them to turn them around to like say, no, it's like, life's still worth living. I think that's a very difficult thing to do. And I think it's great that there are people out there that have that skill. And I think, I think that's a shortcoming on society, that more people don't have that skill, because I wish it's not something that felt like could only be discussed in a professional setting. One of the reasons I really dislike when people say, oh, you should go to therapy, because underlying to that, what I'm hearing is, I can't help you, or either some portion of I can't help you and I don't know how to help you, or I don't want to help you. And I think it's a tragedy that we can't help each other through what are very natural human kind of things, just everyday life types of things. And so, I don't like when people say you should go to therapy, because I think we should, as social beings, we should have more of those skills to be able to talk through each other, through all our emotions, right? Like the happy stuff, the depressing stuff, like when someone's really angry. I guess it seems like there's something missing then if we can't, within like normal people, find a way to navigate all these feelings. I think if we keep saying that this is a thing that therapy can fix, then it's going to continue to be a problem, because therapy is a difficult resource to get. I mean, finding the right person that understands you and that will help you is difficult. But even just getting it paid for is pretty difficult. I mean, I'm lucky that my work offers it as a benefit, a free service. So I've been that has helped me a lot. And if I don't know if I would pay for it, is the thing. So I feel like in our society we should have more of an understanding of how to navigate some of those emotions in life. And so that's why, as much as I hear a lot of shit towards the younger generation about talking so much about emotions, and it does get annoying sometimes, but maybe, what's what's that going to translate to in like 5 or 10 years? Maybe we will have those people that can help people understand their emotions more, or they themselves will understand their emotions better to talk with other people, and then they'll all have the language to kind of to talk about these things. And so maybe you won't have to tell someone to go to therapy to figure out their shit, because they'll have themselves to be able to like look internally better, and then they'll have maybe more people externally to help them out, to see what they're missing. But yeah, for me, it's like I don't want to say the wrong thing, because then I wouldn't want to push someone over the edge of that. But is it worth just trying whatever you can? Because ultimately, I mean, if someone's to that point, how can I convince them to see what I see? Because I think that's a very difficult thing, and that's also something I don't want to be doing. Is I don't want to be convincing someone to see my point of view. And all right, so that's the other thing that I was kind of noticing as I was out the last couple of days. What I've said is that I want to do this to help people, or like that's what I feel like my purpose is, to try to help people. And in that, there's an assumption that I have a better way of living, that my outlook on life is better than other people's outlooks on life. And I mean, that you will never get an objective answer of if there is something right, or if something is good or better. And what I was seeing as I've been walking around is people are happy I see people smiling, whether that's people with a lot of money, people with not a lot of money, just dudes, fucking homeless guys kicking it around the BART station. You still see people smiling. So I feel like that would be the metric for me of someone living and enjoying life. Like, if they're smiling, I think that's kind of what I think life is about. And so I see these people that are living very different lives than me, and they still find a way to smile. So then what am I trying to do? Am I, because I don't want to force people to just have to adopt my opinion. And yeah, so I've just been thinking about like how to make sure that I'm not going down that route. But so that's what it seems like that would be my approach if someone's talking to me about a hardship that they're facing, is that I would somehow want to convince them that what they're seeing isn't right, or that there's like the light ahead of the tunnel. But I think that that's all such an individual thing. I feel you have to convince yourself that that's there. But that's coming from a person who doesn't like advice and doesn't like people telling me what to do. And that's something that I don't have. And I don't know if it's something that I should have or not, but I'm not one to just say like, it's going to be all good, don't worry about it. I want to talk it all out and kind of see where that feeling's coming from. And for me, where the feeling that would typically come up is I'd be good for some time, and then all of a sudden it felt like things were meaningless. Not only meaningless, but it also felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. So it was like, well, why keep going? And again, it was never like I'm gonna do something to myself, but it was just like, let things continue on without me. And I don't know if it would have helped for anyone to like try to make me see the positive in life. I think it would have honestly just frustrated me more, I think. the thing that helped is just being able, I guess, to manage emotions better, because it's not like I don't get those feelings of like where I feel like I just fell on my face and it's like, do I really want to get back up? I still do. But I guess it doesn't feel so intense anymore. And so for me, what has helped is just more of that happening, where I can take on the emotion and live in it, so that the intensity doesn't feel as bad, and there's not a permanence to the feeling. It becomes transient. And it's not even though like I expect that anyone would be able to help me. I mean, it's my life, I'm the one that would make any change really to those feelings coming up and how I handle those feelings. But I think in those moments, there's this feeling of isolation, and I guess it goes back to the other things that I've been talking about a lot, is like how all these feelings kind of make me stop or freeze. And that's the same thing with that isolation feeling, is then I pull back. I don't want to talk to people about this, but what I have found that makes my life a lot easier is just doing the fucking thing and letting the outcome take its course. Because I'm starting to see the detriment of ruminating, and so I'm trying to decrease the time between when I have the thought to do something and when I actually do it. It's getting better, but there's something that I've been thinking to do for years, and I haven't done it. And that's reaching out to my old high school friends. I think about it, I feel like every couple weeks, every couple months, of like being able to reconnect with those people that I grew up with. Because I'm not great at keeping connections going if I'm not seeing someone in person. So, I mean, I lost touch with them because they went to a different high school. Then I went away for college, and, I was trying to get away from home. And I guess I felt like I abandoned those relationships, even though they mean a lot to me, but I feel like I can't go back to it. And I don't know if that's shame or guilt, but it's something. And I keep waiting, and whatever's there, it's like it keeps snowballing. But once, whenever I send that first message to one of my friends, then it's going to change the whole. I think it'll change. I think it's going to change, how I see things, and I guess it'll like deflate the balloon. And I know that would happen, but for some reason it's just feels too uncomfortable to do. So yeah, I mean, I have difficulty talking about that hard stuff because I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. I don't want someone to not know how, or to feel like they have to say something to make me feel better. Because I don't think that's not what I hope for from anyone. But I just want more so someone to hear it so that I don't have to be thinking about it all the time. But then for other people, it's hard to really dive into that conversation because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to hurt someone. I mean, it's another thing. Because I know I've done it before where, someone is sharing something that's tough for them, and I say something not to undermine what they're feeling, but it still ends up hurting them in some way, because finding the right words for things is difficult, and trying to take someone's full perspective into view and understand it is difficult. So I don't want to hurt people, and I also don't want to make someone talk about something that's gonna make them kind of lose control of what their feelings are. But I guess that's with the assumption that people can't handle their own emotions, and I don't know if that's right. So yeah, I guess for this, that's still something that I'm trying to figure out in life, how to talk about the things that really make me happy, and how to talk about the things that make me sad. Because I know I'm really bad at talking about my problems, because I still feel like people don't understand me. And so I think when I talk about some of these deeper things, to me, it can bring that up, and then it becomes like even more evidence, or it kind of reaffirms to me that, like, yeah, people don't get me. But I'm starting to come around to seeing people don't get me, because I don't help people learn to understand me, because I don't share much about myself. And so maybe I guess that's part of what I'm doing, is trying to continue to share more things about myself, and maybe the more people I share it with, the more people will understand me, and then maybe I won't have that feeling of feeling like an outcast or feeling invisible. But that's going to be years down the road, right? I'm just starting on being able to do more of that. So yeah, something to see what the outcome is in a couple years. All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.